Welcome to The Legal View. I'm David Hogg and this is Aaron Gartlan. Tonight's guest is Kathy Cole, Director of the Downtown Group.
And on tonight's edition of The Legal Brief, David and I are going to be discussing mediation, and specifically as it relates to some cases that we are currently handling.
American law is complex and not always easily understood, so a little help and advice can go a long way. The attorneys of Hogg and Gartlan Law Firm in Dothan present Legal View.
The Legal View with Hogg and Gartlan.
Kathy, welcome to our show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
And as Executive Director of the Downtown Group, tell our viewers what y'all do.
Well, the Downtown Group was formed in 1989. We're a small, not-for-profit organization. And our primary focus was in the core area of the historic district. Back in the 1970s, it seemed like everybody wanted to pull out of the downtown, beautiful downtown area, and move towards the Circle, which is why so many people call Dothan, to this day, they call Dothan the Circle City. However, it is important to understand that the real heart and soul of Dothan is in its core area, in its historic district, because those are the only remnants of history we have left that, tell the story of Dothan. I mean, in 100 years, we're not going to say that, that Dothan is, well, we had an Olive Garden. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Olive Garden. I eat there. It's important to look at what we've got historically and to preserve it, to bring it back, and to recruit new business to go in those old buildings.
And speaking of the history of downtown Dothan, I think that Dothan was incorporated in 1885. And are there some buildings downtown that still go back to that far back or close to that far back?
Probably turn of the century is when you'll start seeing those old historic buildings still surviving. Unfortunately, we had buildings that were torn down because those decisions were made many, many years ago. So we probably lost some of the older buildings. But we do have a lot worth saving. Turn of the century, the 20s. It's all historically very important to future generations in the city of Dothan, if they understand what their past was all about.
Well, I agree. And how do you get members, in the downtown group? Are members people only that own property or are doing business downtown?
What is interesting is that through the years, there's been tremendous support for the movement to save, preserve, and restore buildings in the historic district. And a lot of people that become members of the downtown group don't necessarily currently own a building or a business downtown. We have some very wonderful families that have supported our movement for many, many years. People like the Bloombergs. Well, they used to own a beautiful store in downtown Dothan. And so there are those that just support it because they support what we stand for and what our mission is. Several months ago, we were undergoing some construction on a building, and we had a really bad storm. And the weight of the water on a particular roof it was so heavy that it really brought the roof down. And the issue that we have with these old rows of old buildings is that they are actually our rows of old buildings. In other words,
they're connected.
They're connected. They're like one leaning against the other one. And so that situation was swiftly taken care of. It has been brought back up. I mean, it's been under construction.
It's making great progress.
But the challenge that we have is that those buildings, one right after the other, you may have like 5 or 6 buildings, and they're all leaning against each other, and they're very old, and the brick is old. So you have to go in and reinforce and seal the brick and do structural reinforcements, and that's all demanded by code. So.
Well, and you just said, and I know just from visibly going downtown and seeing it, since you've been the director, there's been great progress. Could you tell us about some of the progress and improvements that have gone on downtown?
I'm very proud of downtown Dothan, and I say that, and it's a personal and a professional opinion that I'm giving you. But there have been, in the beginning, it was the small independent entrepreneur that came downtown and took, at that time, a huge risk because there wasn't much down there. There were a lot of buildings that weren't even boarded up. There were wild animals running through the street. And so let's say River Nile, Katie, she came downtown with her beautiful, beautiful restaurant. And then one by one they came. Then we got a coffee shop across the street from Katie. And then for a period of time there was very little growth. And then we started feeling this synergy. People took pride in their downtown. They started to recognize that they needed to take ownership. And so from that grew a momentum of investment. And in the past 7 years, there's been well over $20 million of private money
Wow.
invested in the downtown
Sure.
area. There is, so we're really proud of the fact that so many people, stepped up to the plate. And, you have Eagle Investments, you've got that beautiful building now called the Grand, where it's an event hall.
Sure.
The old bank building on East Main and Foster, it was revived. It's filled with beautiful antiques. And we've got a new shop opening called French Quarter, and that's on North Foster Street. Of course, our restaurants, Bella's and Colby's, River Nile, who am I leaving out? Blue Moon Cafe, Moe's. District, they also serve great
Sure.
food. So we've got food, we've got shopping, and we've got an exquisite park, which was a public-private partnership. The downtown group took it on as a project, but many, many private individuals stepped up to the plate and made contributions. And Eagle Investments, or Keith Gibbons, donated his land next to the bank. The Thrower family donated their land, and we were able to create one large, beautiful park that is open to the public.
Yeah, and it really is a nice touch to that street there downtown.
We're real proud of it. And I'm really proud of the fact that people come downtown to the park, and you'll see mothers with their children and walking through the park or having a sandwich on a bench. And for the first couple of years that I was downtown with this position, I didn't see much in that park. It was not a very living
Sure.
park, and there was no shade, and you rarely saw people using it. And now I see we have areas where there are lots of butterflies. We have a fountain, areas to sit in. There's a pergola that you can use for entertainment, so it's quite nice.
Kathy, can you give us any kind of a peek of possible coming attractions on the downtown streets? Any businesses that you think may locate there in the near future?
We recently have been showing a lot of buildings that are, a few that are vacant on North Foster Street. North Foster is really filled up quite nicely. But we have two buildings that the Redevelopment Authority have done the facades and the roofs, and they're available for sale. We're considering that in one of those buildings, we're going to do a business type incubator where, let's say, 6 different venues can go in that building. And I think that will be easy to fill because not everybody wants a whole building. Some people just want a section of a building.
Sure.
And we're also hoping to do that because it will increase foot traffic. And that's our biggest hope, is to bring more people downtown to help our businesses succeed, our restaurants and our shops. But we've had a lot of interest in those buildings.
Well, you've told us about some of the history and some of the progress that's been made, and potentially a snapshot of some things that will happen in the future. What is the downtown group's role in all of that? I mean, what do you actually do to help facilitate that progress?
Our role is, or our mission statement, our part of all of this is, number one, we are a partner in the revitalization process. We partner with the city, we partner with the Art Museum, we partner with the Downtown Redevelopment Authority, and what we do is we actively recruit new business to come downtown. I mean, I have a keychain that is filled with keys because I very often will meet a prospective investor downtown on a Sunday or a Saturday because I'm very passionate about filling up those buildings. We also serve as a liaison to new business, and that means if you come downtown as a new business, we help you learn the ropes because there are a lot of a lot of ropes to learn when you're in the historic district. There are rules in the historic district that don't apply anywhere else in the city of Dothan. For instance, your facade is of interest to the Historic Preservation Commission. So I want you to know what all the rules are and what your obligations are going to be by coming to the historic district. So we're a liaison, and we're a mentor, and we market downtown.
The big building on North Foster Street that's empty right now, where Super Bad used to be, I think it used to be a hotel a long time ago.
That is the Wadlington Hotel.
Okay.
Yes.
Are there some plans, I think in your brochure, there's an objective, a hope to restore that?
We would absolutely love to see the Wadlington restored. And what would be absolutely stunning would be to see it's a 3-story building, and we'd love to see the first floor have like a wonderful little restaurant in it, kind of a cozy restaurant, some retail. And then the upper 2 floors would be absolutely ideal for a boutique style hotel. And sitting where it is on that block, just imagine if you had an event across the street at the Grand, a wedding or whatever, you had a lot of out-of-town guests, you could just walk across the street to attend your event. That is the ideal situation in a downtown district.
It would be great. Mm-hmm. What is the area of the historic downtown? Can you kind of give our viewers the perimeter of that area?
It's about a 24-block area that extends, I wish I had my map with me, but it extends all the way to Powell Street. It goes 24 blocks in both directions of Main Street. So our historic district is divided by Main Street, which is a big challenge to try to create even more synergy because of that major highway. But it does go on either side of Main Street equally, 24 blocks.
Aaron and I own a historical house on South Foster Street, but we're just on the outside of the historic district. So is there some chance you can get us in the historic district coming up maybe?
I'm going to try to do that. What we're trying to do is expand the historic district, because we have people like you, houses like your historic house, just maybe a block or 2 outside. So we are looking at doing just that, which would be to expand the historic district. Basket Case Cafe, Donna and Rick Balzarati were one of the pioneers to come downtown, and they're a block away from the historic district. They were the first loft dwellers downtown, and they've had their restaurant there for years. So we would love to expand and include more.
Where's the office for the downtown group?
Well, the office, my original office, it's kind of a cute story, was in the old jailhouse on North St. Andrews. Again, that's why I was a little nervous about coming on a show with some lawyers. And a determination was made so many years ago to take that building down. And so I went homeless for a number of years. But my office currently is in Foster Corner, which is 181 North Foster Street, right across from the Penny Building. I'm in Suite 101. And I do walking tours, which is very educational. So anyone that would want to come downtown and do a walking tour, just give me a call. I'd love to accommodate you in that way.
And of course, there are a number of murals on the buildings downtown. Does the downtown group have any affiliation with getting those murals done?
We were the umbrella over the mural program for 15 years. And we did help facilitate the fundraising and the different activities associated with those murals. The murals are currently with the Wiregrass Museum of Art, but we continue to support that program. We continue to market that program, and I do occasionally give mural tours also.
Kathy, what about all the peanuts that we see around town?
I think you were going to ask me that. That is our program also. It started back in 2002. It was called Peanuts Around Town, and it was going to be a one-time event where we had a contest, and the winning peanuts were in a float in the Peanut Festival Parade. But I got to tell you, there's probably 70-plus peanuts in the city of Dothan, because the program, the peanut, was so popular. They sell themselves. I mean, we don't even have to do anything. People call when they have a new business. and a lot of area school children and a lot of out of towners come to Dothan just to take peanut tours. It's really been fun for me.
So if there's a business in town that wants to have one of those peanuts as part of their business, what would they do? Contact you?
Well, Aaron, I know you're dying to get a peanut, aren't you?
Well, David and I certainly have. We've talked about it. So would we contact you?
You just call me, and I have a peanut packet that I can either bring to your office, or you can get it on my website, which is thedowntowngroup.com. And also, you really need, if you want to see what's going on downtown, you can check out my peanuts on my website. You can also go on the homepage to the Facebook and click and see. You'll see your photograph there pretty soon.
Well, who makes these peanuts?
They are done locally through a company locally, and he's been doing them for years, and we're just really glad that we could buy local, as in anything else, buy local.
When all the painting and artwork and all that, does he do all that, or is that kind of commissioned out to?
That's commissioned out to a local artist. We have several local artists that will, if you give them your idea, they will do a sketch for you, and then you can look at the sketch, and they will give you an estimate on what that would cost to accomplish, because some of them have appendages and all kinds of things, hats and.
Yes, so it sounds like just a great way to market a business and then kind of help the local art community as well.
Absolutely. It's all locally done. They're manufactured locally, the artists are local, and they're great marketing tools, trust me. I get a lot of phone calls from people that are just so excited about the crowds of people that come just to visit the Peanut, and then they come in their stores or places of business. So they're very effective marketing.
Kathy, Moe's downtown is a national chain, and that was quite an accomplishment for downtown to have such a prominent business. Did the downtown group play any part in getting Moe's downtown?
Absolutely.
Can you tell us about that?
I can, and that was a very interesting situation. When you're dealing with corporate rather than a private individual, you're dealing with a whole other set of rules, and that is there have to be certain things in place before they will allow you to open a chain restaurant like that. And so one of the reasons why the jail, my old office, got torn down was that, first of all, the building was going to be very, very, very ultra expensive to do any kind of rehab to. So we had to create parking or we wouldn't have Moe's. And so we cleared out an area, and there was also just land that needed to be cleared out. We cleared out an area so that Moe's could meet their specifications, their corporate specifications. And we were really happy to do that. We love Stacy, the owner. He did a phenomenal job rehabbing the building that they're in. It used to be years ago an old pharmacy. And he completely gutted it and went in and redid it, and it's really beautiful in there. And we are honored to have Moe's as our corporate restaurant downtown.
Now, Dothan has missed out on some business, not only in downtown, but also elsewhere in the city because of the shape of downtown in the past. Is that true?
Yes. For many years, people just wanted to kind of forget they had a downtown, and they kind of put it on the back burner. And in that period of time, there was a lot of deterioration, and that's very unfortunate. But we're trying to make up for that now, because in past years, when people have come to Dothan, corporations, let's say, doctors looking at relocating here to our medical facilities, people just looking to relocate, they would ask to come see the downtown, and they would be very, very shocked and disappointed. And a lot of times people just said, I'm not going to relocate someplace where there isn't a downtown, where there isn't a hub, for culture, for shopping, entertainment. I mean, it just didn't make sense to someone that was moving here from a cosmopolitan area. So again, when we talk about downtown, and we talk about downtown, and we talk about downtown, we're not just talking about downtown. We are indeed talking about the city of Dothan and the potential growth of the city of Dothan. One great example of something great that could come our way is the Osteopathic College. And the Osteopathic College group looked very intensely at our downtown area. And there is a potential that people that are working with that project may also bring in some major investment in our downtown area. That's what they've done in other cities that they've gone into. So the downtown is important, not just to downtown, but to the city of Dothan.
So Kathy, if somebody wants to take a walking tour of downtown Dothan, see some buildings, get a peanut, join the downtown group, how can they get in touch with you?
Well, it's real easy. You can go on my website, which is thedowntowngroup.com. You can call me at 334-793-3097. I'm always available 24/7, like I told you. And I can give you information about a walking tour, a peanut, a downtown group membership, or any other questions that you might have about your downtown. I can pretty much answer any of those questions. And I want to thank you for you all are my newest member of the downtown group. It's good to have you on board. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Aaron, we have some cases that we're going to be going to mediation on here in the near future. One of those cases involves $1 million worth of cows. And we want to talk about what mediation is. And you may have a case coming up that involves mediation, or you may have heard your attorney talk about mediation. So we want to discuss what mediation is, give a general overview of it, how it differs from arbitration, which is another phrase that people here talk about, and what you can expect if you go to mediation. Our cow case involves some people in this area who invested in over $1 million worth of cows, and the farmer who sold them the cows was supposed to keep the cows and milk them. They were milk cows, and he was going to sell the milk and then pay them revenue from the sale of that milk. But then the cows started getting sick and weren't being taken care of properly, and a lot of them died off. And so now we have a lawsuit over several $100,000, $1 million worth of cows.
Sure.
That's one of the cases we'll be going to arbitration on here in the near future. And Aaron, tell our viewers basically what mediation is.
Well, basically, just a basic definition of mediation is formal settlement talks. There's a third party, a mediator. Typically, we try to agree on and select an attorney that has some kind of background in the area, in this type of a case. For instance, if it's a personal injury or wrongful death case, you want to select a mediator that has had some experience dealing with those types of cases. So it's formal settlement talks. I mean, that's a basic definition of it, is a process where you enter into formal settlement discussions, and you're going to want to typically try to do that at an office where you can facilitate, where you can get all the decision makers in the building with their attorneys and try to settle a case. Now, again, that is a basic definition and a basic overview.
Now, if I'm going to mediation, is the mediator going to make a decision and decide how much money I give or have to pay?
No, the mediator is simply there to try to facilitate a settlement. They've got an agenda to facilitate a settlement and to help kind of coach a settlement along. And it is a great process, and we would typically always encourage mediation. But the way we mediate cases from the standpoint of we're going to look at it without necessarily that agenda to settle the case. I mean, you don't want to, as a plaintiff in a lawsuit or a potential lawsuit, you don't really want to go into mediation necessarily with the goal to settle the case. Now, again, each case is different, so I'm speaking in general terms here, but generally speaking, to have a successful mediation, you don't want to go to that mediation with the mindset that you're there to settle the case.
You want to show the other side that you're ready to go to trial if you have to, if they're not willing to settle on terms that are acceptable to you.
Exactly. You want to, again, each case is different, but generally speaking, you want to have that case pretty well ready for trial or very close to it, so you can give a proper and thorough evaluation of the value of that case and go into the mediation with the goal of maximizing the value of the case, not necessarily with the goal of settling the case. So you may walk out of the mediation without a settlement. I mean, you have to go into it with that mentality. And, you know, so again, your goal is to advance your case and to go in and maximize the value. And typically we're going to set an agenda for the mediation before we go in there. In other words, the goals that we want to accomplish. Sometimes those goals may be to allow the defendants to hear things and see things, and get to walk out of there with a perspective of you know, the value of the case from your side, or the strong points of the case, to, you know, so that they so that, you know, they walk out of that mediation with the message that you know, that you want them to hear.
And also in mediation, it's really nothing like a trial. The parties usually will start off in the same room and will be given an opportunity to make a sort of an introductory statement about their position of the case, but then typically both sides will go into different rooms and the mediator will meet with each party individually and begin conveying offers about the case and information about the case as each party is in agreement to be shared, and trying to see if he can get the parties close together to attempt to settle. But at no time can he require the parties to settle. It's completely voluntary.
That's right.
Now, arbitration, on the other hand, is like a trial or a court setting, except it's not a formal court hearing. It's a process where someone who is not a judge, it might be a retired judge, or it could be an attorney, listens to both sides and then makes a decision. And we'll talk more about arbitration on a future program, but it varies, or it differs from mediation in that arbitration is where a final decision is made by someone other than the parties. And generally that decision is binding on both parties.
That's right. David and I would like to thank our guest, Kathy Cole of the Downtown Group, and again, thank everybody for watching tonight.
See you again next week.
To submit legal questions you may have, email to aaron@hoggartlandlawfirm.com. Thanks for watching. This has been a production of the Hogg and Gartlan Law Firm and WDFX TV, Fox 34.
The Legal View with Hogg and Gartlan.